In the first video of this series, I presented the first 10 of my personal top 25 games for the Sony PlayStation. In this part, we will continue with the next 10, before closing out with the top 5 in the final entry. The Legend of Dragoon was released in North America in 2000. Developed by Sony Computer Entertainment Japan, it is a visually impressive and ambitious RPG that delivers a nostalgic gameplay journey for fans of classic turn-based combat. The game's graphics were quite striking for their time, with beautifully detailed character models, varied environments, a wide use of color, and dynamic battle animations. The cinematic sequences, though a bit dated, provide a sense of grandeur and are a testament to the game's attention to visual detail. The soundtrack, composed by Dennis Martin and Takeo Miratsu, tends to be one of the more popular features amongst fans of the game, featuring a blend of orchestral and rock-inspired music. With its emotive themes and atmospheric scores, it complements the game's epic fantasy world, enhancing the narrative and emotional depth throughout the adventure. The fun factor is rooted in the unique combat system of the game. The addition of combos, which require timed button presses to stack additional stronger attacks, adds an engaging layer of interactivity to the traditional turn-based formula. While it can get a little repetitive after extended periods, mastering the combos provides a rewarding sense of progression. The story itself is a familiar yet compelling tale of heroism, featuring fairly solid character development, particularly with the protagonist, Dart, and his companions, who each have distinct personalities and motivations. Replayability is moderate, with hidden secrets and upgrades. The game's linear structure does limit replay value slightly, but its expansive world and long runtime offer motivation for those who enjoy exploring every corner of its fantasy setting. Overall, The Legend of Dragoon is a well-crafted RPG with a captivating combat system, memorable music, and likable characters, making it a worthwhile game for fans of classic RPGs, even if it doesn't quite break new ground in terms of storytelling. Resident Evil was released in 1996 and remains a landmark in survival horror. Blending atmospheric tension with engaging gameplay, the game's fixed camera angles and pre-rendered backgrounds still create a sense of claustrophobia and dread to this day. Though the graphics are noticeably limited when compared to modern technology, they add to the eerie charm, with meticulously crafted environments that convey a feeling of isolation and fear. Complementing its eerie, decaying mansion setting, the soundtrack heightens the atmosphere with subtle, haunting melodies that mirror the tension throughout the game's events. Sound effects, ranging from the creaking of doors, the moans of zombies, or howling of dogs, add a palpable sense of dread, keeping players on edge. In terms of gameplay, Resident Evil shines with its blend of exploration, puzzle solving, and strategic combat. Limited ammo and item inventory force players to think carefully about how they approach each encounter. The game's difficulty is finely tuned for players seeking a challenge, while still offering a rewarding experience for those who push through its tough moments. Character-wise, the game introduces iconic figures like Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, whose distinctive personalities and skills help build emotional attachment and add depth to the narrative. The often stilted voice acting adds a layer of charm, unintentionally becoming part of the game's allure. Replayability is strong, with multiple endings, unlocked scenarios, and the challenge of mastering harder difficulties. The sense of discovery and hidden secrets encourages players to return, making it more than just a one-time playthrough. Overall, Resident Evil is a must-play for fans of the horror genre, offering a perfect mix of tension, fun, and replay value that still holds up as a classic today. Medal of Honor Underground was released in 2000 and offers an engaging World War II-themed experience, following the story of Manon Baptiste, a French resistance fighter. As a prequel to the original Medal of Honor, the game shines with its compelling narrative, immersive environments, and historical accuracy, making it a standout in the genre. The graphics were impressive for their time. Character models and environments are detailed enough to convey the gritty atmosphere of wartime Europe. The lighting and shadows enhance the mood, and textures are fairly well done for the era and system limitations of the PlayStation late in its life. Still, the sense of immersion is strong, and the diverse locations, ranging from urban streets to bombed-out buildings, are well executed. The soundtrack is appropriately somber, adding tension and urgency to the game's missions. The orchestral score complements the historical setting, with music that swells during intense moments. Sound effects, such as gunfire and explosions, are realistic, though voice acting can occasionally feel stiff. Medal of Honor Underground touches on the courage and sacrifice of the French resistance during World War II. The narrative focuses on themes of patriotism, resilience, and survival. The core gameplay is a solid first-person shooter, offering a variety of weapons and objectives. The mission design is varied, incorporating stealth, gunfights, and strategic planning. AI enemies are challenging, and while the game can feel linear at times, the gameplay remains engaging. The controls are responsive but can feel clunky compared to modern shooters. The aiming mechanics take some time to master, but early hints of modern controller-based first-person shooter design can be seen here. This is a worthy installment in the infancy of the series, offering a compelling story, tight gameplay, and solid visuals. Overall, Medal of Honor Underground is still one of the franchise's most memorable entries.
Guy's been eviscerated. Something tore his intestines straight out.
Developed by Capcom of then Resident Evil fame, Dino Crisis was released in 1999, late in the PlayStation's life. The game's graphics were impressive for the time, with detailed environments and well-designed character models. The dangerous environments of the research facility and the ominous outdoor areas help create an atmosphere of tension, while the dinosaurs themselves are convincingly menacing, making the player feel constantly hunted. The sound design was tense, with eerie noises and a haunting soundtrack, amplifying the fear factor. Gameplay combined exploration, puzzle solving, and real-time combat against dinosaurs, offering both action and suspense. The game utilized tank controls with mostly fixed camera angles, though some areas had dynamic camera shifts. Players moved in set directions, requiring precise rotations to face enemies during tense encounters. Dino Crisis shines with its blend of exploration, puzzle solving, and survival action. The fixed camera angles and limited resources create a tense atmosphere, similar to Resident Evil, but the addition of fast-moving, unpredictable enemies adds a new level of challenge. The combat is straightforward, especially when dealing with the relentless dinosaurs. However, the constant threat of being ambushed does keep the player on edge. Replayability is moderate, with multiple paths, endings, and unlockables that encourage players to revisit the game. However, the story is fairly linear, and the lack of a significant variety in enemies can make subsequent playthroughs feel a bit familiar. The protagonist, Regina, is a competent, no-nonsense character with a strong sense of purpose, though her characterization is somewhat underdeveloped compared to more iconic figures in the genre. She has become quite popular amongst fans nonetheless. Overall, Dino Crisis is a fun, if slightly flawed, entry in survival horror, offering a thrilling experience for fans of the genre looking for something a little different. Released for the PlayStation in 1997, Final Fantasy Tactics is a strategy RPG that delivers a complex and rewarding experience for fans of the genre. The art style of Final Fantasy Tactics remains timeless, thanks to its intricate, isometric design and detailed sprites. Akihiko Yoshida's distinctive artistic vision blends medieval and fantasy elements seamlessly, creating visually captivating characters and environments. His use of color, shading, and perspective ensures the world feels alive and immersive. Even years after its release, the game's visuals continue to stand out, with its crisp, hand-drawn aesthetic holding up amazing well against most other games of the era. The enduring quality of Yoshida's work proves how a unique, well-crafted art style can transcend time, making Final Fantasy Tactics visually iconic. The game features grid-based tactical combat, focusing on strategic positioning and class abilities. Tactics prioritizes thoughtful decision-making and planning ahead, with each unit's movement and actions influencing the outcome. This shift to strategic warfare offers a deeper, more cerebral playstyle versus the main series entries of the time. The soundtrack, composed by Hitoshi Sakamoto, is one of the game's highlights, with sweeping, epic orchestral tracks that perfectly complement the game's medieval fantasy setting. The music enhances the emotional weight of key moments and sets the tone for the tense battles and dramatic story events. Replayability is strong due to the vast array of character classes, abilities, unlockables, and equipment available. The branching storylines and multiple endings also encourage players to revisit the game and experiment with different choices. The plot offers a layered, politically charged narrative, weaving themes of betrayal, war, and power struggles, with morally complex characters and shifting allegiances that challenge players' perceptions of what is right and wrong. Overall, Final Fantasy Tactics is a deeply engaging and challenging strategy RPG that rewards careful planning, patience, and thought. Its intricate game design, memorable soundtrack, and compelling character arcs make it a classic, rewarding players who invest their time into the game. Released in 1998, Parasite Eve employs an intriguing blend of survival horror, tactical action combat, and RPG elements which stands out as a unique mixture. Being considered a sequel to the 1997 movie, it takes place a year after the events of the film, expanding on the story and characters, particularly focusing on Aya Bray, a rookie NYPD officer. The cutscenes were top quality for the era and contributed to the game's immersive atmosphere. The eerie environment of New York City heightened the sense of immersion. The sound design is another strong point, with a haunting and atmospheric soundtrack that complements the game's dark, mysterious tone. The music, composed by Yoko Shimomura, effectively builds tension during exploration and battle sequences. The lack of voice acting does not detract from the game's presentation, since the game relies on strong visual storytelling and the music to communicate the characters' feelings and the unfolding horror. The fun factor lies in the game's mix of real-time combat and RPG mechanics. Parasite Eve introduces a unique active time battle system, allowing players to move on the battlefield, offering strategic depth to combat. The game's monster design is creative, and the RPG elements, such as leveling up, stat customization, and acquiring new abilities, keep the gameplay engaging. Replayability is strong, as the game offers extra content like the challenging Chrysler Building, a 77-floor dungeon with powerful enemies and unique rewards, which grants the player the true ending to the game. Players can also unlock additional weapons, armor, and a harder difficulty mode. Overall, Parasite Eve is a memorable and innovative title that blends horror, action, and RPG elements to create a compelling package, despite some slight pacing issues and occasional narrative confusion. Tenchu, Stealth Assassins was released on the PlayStation in 1998. It was a pioneering title in the stealth action genre, offering a unique experience for its time. Set in feudal Japan, the game put players in the shoes of a ninja, tasked with completing various stealth missions, from assassinations message delivery, theft, and sabotage. The sound design is one of the game's strengths, with a varying musical score that enhances the immersion. It blends traditional Japanese instruments, such as shamisen and koto, with sometimes subtle ambient compositions, creating an immersive soundscape that complements the ancient ninja setting. All the while, subtle environmental sounds heighten the tension as you move through enemy territories. Footsteps, enemy conversations, the swish of a blade, or snoring of a sleeping guard contribute to a feeling of anticipation and danger. The voice acting in the game is competent for the time, but often campy, with exaggerated deliveries and stiff dialogue, adding an unintentional charm. It contrasts with the game's serious tone, sometimes feeling unintentionally humorous. The fun factor in Tenchu comes from the strategic blend of stealth, combat, and exploration. The ability to silently eliminate enemies and avoid detection is rewarding, while the combat mechanics allow for some visceral action when stealth fails, or is simply not an option. Enemy patrols react to sounds, discovered bodies, and disturbances, making stealth a real challenge. Replayability is fairly strong, as each level can be tackled with different strategies, and the game offers various unlockables and challenges. While they can be clunky and awkward at times, the controls are serviceable for the era. In Tenchu, relying on precision and patience is key to success. Overall, Tenchu was an influential title for its time, establishing a solid foundation for future stealth games. Despite its technical limitations, it offered a unique take on a genre, still finding its footing.
You're repulsive. Hurry up and die!
I must say, I'm
Suikoden 2 is a standout JRPG that excels in its rich story, deep character development, and strategic gameplay. Set in the Scarlet Moon Empire, the game follows a young hero who becomes embroiled in a political rebellion, striving to overthrow a corrupt empire while dealing with the trauma of betrayal and war. The plot centers on a power struggle, as the protagonist, once a member of a military unit, becomes a key leader in the resistance against the Empire's oppressive rule. The core of the story revolves around themes of loyalty, camaraderie, and the harsh realities of war. The game is beautifully brought to life through its 2D pixel art. The character sprites are charmingly detailed, with each having distinct, expressive portraits that convey their personalities. The environments range from lush forests to bustling cities, all rendered in vibrant, colorful art styles that add a sense of immersion. The soundtrack is memorable and helps set the tone for the game's emotional highs and lows. It blends orchestral pieces with more intimate, samba melodies. The music, especially during key moments of conflict, enhances the atmosphere and adds depth to the story, making each major event feel even more impactful. Character variety is one of the game's strongest highlights. The 108 stars of destiny come from all walks of life. Heroes, outcasts, thieves, and nobles, each offering a fresh perspective on the world. Their individual stories intertwine, creating a web of narratives that feel meaningful and personal. Overall, Suikoden 2 is a deeply rewarding JRPG with an intricate world, memorable characters, and compelling gameplay, making it a must-play for fans of the genre. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, is a captivating action-adventure game which stands out for its unique world-building, atmospheric storytelling, and innovative gameplay mechanics. The game's protagonist is Raziel, a once loyal vampire turned vengeful wraith after being betrayed by his master, Kain. Raziel now seeks to overthrow his former master, navigating a dark, mystical world filled with betrayal, ancient lore, and supernatural forces. The graphics are striking, with beautifully designed environments that contrast the dark, gothic landscapes of Nosgoth with the ethereal, otherworldly realm that Raziel navigates. The character models capture the eerie tone of the game, and the shift between the material and spectral worlds is a standout visual element. The sound design is stunning, with an absolutely captivating soundtrack that enhances the game's dark atmosphere. The voice acting, particularly the parts of Rosiel and Kane, are top tier for the time, and still hold up very well to this day, delivering deep, brooding performances that effectively convey their characters' emotions. Gameplay is a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and combat, with a strong emphasis on exploration. Rosiel's ability to shift between the material and spectral worlds provides a creative twist on the traditional action-adventure formula, offering new perspectives and challenges. Once Rosiel acquires the titular Soul Reaver, combat becomes more entertaining, with powerful swordplay and soul-draining abilities. The puzzles are well done, requiring clever use of environmental transformations between realms, and the Soul Reaver's powers, offering a rewarding blend of action and strategy that keeps players engaged throughout the journey. Rosiel is a compelling protagonist, driven by vengeance and redemption. His complex backstory, coupled with the game's deep narrative, adds emotional weight to the experience. Overall, Soul Reaver is a memorable action-adventure with a rich atmosphere and innovative mechanics, ensuring it will be a game to remember long after having completed it.
You should have stayed where the Master sent you, Rosiel. You will find Nosgoth less pleasant than you remember.
What has become of my clan? Answer me, little brother, or I will beat an answer from your horrid lips.
Released in March of 2000, Siphon Filter 2 builds upon the foundation laid by its predecessor, offering refined gameplay, improved graphics, an expanded story, and enhanced features. As a third-person action game, it follows operatives Gabriel Logan and Lian Xing, betrayed former agents of a covert government organization known simply as the Agency. The story is full of espionage, misdirection, and high-stakes moments, continuing the narrative from the first game with greater depth and far greater stakes. The player will visit varied locations throughout the game, from the snowy mountains and military airbase in Colorado, a gulag in Siberia, to a nightclub and the backstreets of Moscow, among others. The player is now also susceptible to taking a headshot and being instantly killed, making stealth elements more engaging and crucial than in the previous game. The game's returning range of weapons are expanded upon, adding strategic depth, offering players flexibility in how they approach situations. Graphically, Siphon Filter 2 is a modest improvement over the first entry in the series. The character models are more detailed, and the environments are richer with better lighting and textures. While still limited by the PlayStation hardware, the game offers a more immersive visual presentation, with dynamic camera angles and intense action sequences. The music and sound effects complement the gameplay with a tense, atmospheric score. The music adapts to the situation, ramping up during intense firefights and calming during stealth sections. Sound effects are sharp and detailed, particularly the gunfire and environmental noises, which enhance the overall immersion. In summary, Siphon Filter 2 improves on the original in every conceivable way, with tighter controls, better stealth mechanics, more varied environments, and enhanced graphics and sound. It refines the formula of its predecessor, offering more polished gameplay, a thrilling story, in a fantastic espionage adventure.
You want to beg for your life? You tell me where Morgan is taking that plasma.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm dying, Holman! Siphon Filter is killing me and I am running out of patience. Where are they taking Fagan's plasma? Where were they planning to take mine?
I can't help you. I don't know where they're taking the plasma.